Hi, I'm Nicole and this is Nick's Picks. So every month I've been posting a video talking about the books that I picked out to read that month. And we're going to talk about the 4 books that I read in June. So I'm going to start with something I talked about in my May video, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees by Patrick Horvath. So this was an amazing graphic novel. I actually read it on June 1st, which was when I made my May video, and it kind of corresponded with something I was saying, so I already mentioned it, but since it's technically a June read, I just wanted to shout it out again because I loved it so much and couldn't get enough of it and cannot recommend it enough. It's basically, it gives you vibes. The drawings are amazing. It gives you the Berenstain Bears, Wind in the Willows, and just children's books from when we were younger kind of vibes. And it's about a serial killer bear. So she doesn't kill people in her little small town, very small town vibes, all that kind of cozy stuff that you love. And she doesn't kill people there. She goes into the city so that, nobody's looking into her. But then somebody in her town actually kills someone. So she's very invested in figuring out who did this so that they can wrap that up and nobody starts looking too closely at, her or anything like that and discovering any of her secrets. And it was just great. Again, everything from our childhood gives you all those feel good, feelings of those books, but then that drastic difference with like the horror aspect of it, very gory. It is graphic, but it's perfect. It's just the characters are great, the story's great, the little twist is great, everything was great, and I could not recommend this book enough. If you like graphic novels, if you like graphic novels, I definitely would recommend this. This was a great book. All right, so the next thing, and I mentioned that I was going to start it, and I did. Fourth Wing. Oh my goodness. I feel like I don't even want to say anything except read it. It was so amazing. This is unbelievable. I truly, truly loved this. I will be continuing with the series. This was a wonderful book. So I haven't read fantasy in a while. And I like it. I was big with Harry Potter, Hunger Games, stuff like that. So I do like that. But haven't really read like adult fantasy or like romantic fantasy like this, where we've got some smut in there, and it was so good. This was such a great book. And of course, I love a sprayed edge, some kind of gimmicky book. This was amazing. So basically the concept here, and I could talk about this forever, but I'll try to keep it short. They're at a college, like a war college. And of course, there's dragons that exist in this world and all this kind of stuff. And basically, you could be like a healer, you could be a scribe, or you could be a rider, a dragon rider. And it is dangerous to be a rider, like life or death kind of thing. People die all the time. So Violet, who's the main character, her mom is like the general. She's the head honcho. She's really big, and she's a rider. And her dad was a scribe. And growing up, she was very close to her dad. She loved reading, writing, all that kind of stuff. She basically planned on being a scribe when it was her time to choose and do this. She has a brother and a sister. Her brother died. And her sister, is a writer and is looking out for her kind of thing. Her mom's forcing her. It kind of starts with her day of going into the college, and she was planning on doing the scribe, and her mom is forcing her to do the writer. And that just kind of tells you all you need to know about her relationship with her mom, or lack thereof. She's willing to risk her life to save face or whatever, like Sorrengails or writers, and that's it. So she's forcing her to do this, knowing very well she was not built for it. People train their whole lives for it. She's very frail kind of thing. Like she's got, whatever, she's just not built to be a writer and never trained for it. So she only had a couple of months training for this when her mother kind of sprung that on her. And now here we are, the day of them doing all of this, and she's getting ready to go into the writer's quadrant. So that it kind of goes from there. The world building is great. Not too overwhelming, not too many things that you have to keep track of. You're brought in instantly, you know what's going on instantly. It was just a wonderful book. And then of course the romance, it's like an enemies to lovers thing, because Xaden, his dad led like a rebellion and was killed, and everybody involved with that rebellion was killed. Violet's mom was the one that, did all of that. So he sees Violet, and it's like, oh my God, he's gonna kill her now because he doesn't like what her mom did to his dad. And all the kids of these people involved with the rebellion are forced to be riders now too. So to prove their loyalty and that kind of stuff. So he's a third year in the school. She's new. And then she also has her best friend is a year older than her. So he's also a rider, and he was there for a year. So when she gets there, she's got her best friend kind of looking out for her. She's got Zayden, who's looking to kill her until he's not, like, it's definitely that was amazing. That whole like build up, and definitely it's like a slow burn. Like, it takes a while to get there, but it's worth it. And even her best friend in the beginning, it's a little bit of like even like a love triangle, because like she, maybe has feelings for him, and even though Zayden is so scary and whatever, like she can't help being attracted to him. Like it's like this whole thing, and it's great. And there's like a lot of events involved in this like school and what's going on, and like, for example, threshing. That's when the dragons kind of choose their riders, kind of thing. Not everybody even gets chosen. So there are events that we're waiting for and we're looking to get to, and they play out perfectly. Like, it's worth the wait. It's worth the, threshing's a big deal, and it was. That was my favorite part of the whole book, was threshing. That was so perfect how everything played out there. It was just great. It was so great. And I will say, actually, I don't want to say too much to give anything away, but yes. So it was great. Like, the story, I loved, like, the storyline, even like the dragons are characters. So like we love that. It's just everything about this was so perfectly built, easy to follow. The love story is perfect, and the story is perfect. Like the fantasy, the thriller aspect of it, whatever's going on. Of course, we're suspicious of, just like Hunger Games, like, we're suspicious of the people in charge. Is maybe something else going on, and then like we find some things out later on, and the shocks were good, the good parts were good, the sad parts were good. Like, it was a very good book. This was a very good book. And the reason I picked it up is because everybody was talking about Onyx Storm, so I can't wait to keep going with the series and finally get to that. So, I mean, they're big, takes a while to read, so that's, an investment, but well worth it. And I will diverge a little bit here because I wanted to also show you something I got this month that kind of goes hand in hand with this. So it was my birthday in June, and one of the presents I got was a Kindle. So I'm just gonna talk about this for 1 minute. This is life-changing. Now, I was always one of those people that are like, never, never, never. I am a book person. I need the book in my hands. I am never switching to a Kindle. I love my collection. I would, I need my book. However, I will say, first of all, I'm not totally against reading on a screen. So like, I like to write, and then the stuff that I write, I send to myself all the time, and I am constantly reading it on my phone, on my iPad, whatever. Like that, it's not like I'm anti-reading on a screen. I'm fine with that. I do that all the time with my own stuff. But like I said, when you're reading a book and stuff like that, I even like to see like how far along I am. Like, yes, you can see what page you're on, but it's different. It's kind of like, all right, we're in the beginning here now. It's like you just like know your progress. So I'm like, oh, I'm almost done. Like, like it's different to hold it in your hands. Oof, what a difference. I just picked this thing up. This is light as a feather, and it is a Kindle. So even unlike my phone and my iPad and stuff like that, it's got that perfect screen where it looks like a piece of paper, and it's like, very easy to read. There's no glare or anything like that. Very easy to hold, very lightweight. And probably because this screen is smaller than a lot of book pages, but I feel like I'm flying through it. I feel like I'm reading it so fast. And so like the first experience I had with it was fourthly. So there's a big difference here. And let me tell you, I felt it. And there are times, this happens to be an extremely large book, but even like a regular book, I feel like I'll hold it, and after a while, like my wrist is hurting, all this stuff. Happily, like I have no problem with it. I still love my book, but what a difference when I picked this thing up. And of course I got all the accessories and I'm telling you, so I just feel like I have to say this because if there's anyone like me, and I know there are plenty of people, and it was me, that it's like, I never want any part of this. Once you pick it up, you will never put it down. It didn't take me a while to get used to, nothing like that. I picked it up and then never put it down. It was insane. Now, the other thing I'll say is this. Right now, like part of the gift or whatever, you get like 3 months of Kindle Unlimited or whatever it is. So I'm not paying for Kindle Unlimited right now. And I do have a lot of books, like I already had this that I was looking to read. So right now I'm doing both. So it's like, yeah, I have my book and I have my Kindle, best of both worlds. So maybe I will read the book when I'm at home. Maybe I take this with me in my bag, whatever it is. So when that's different and I'm going to be like paying for both, can I see myself buying books and buying on the Kindle or paying for Kindle Unlimited? I don't know. Like that does seem silly. So I don't know. My initial thought was like books like this in a series where there's a lot and they're big, like even just space wise, as much as I love my collection, it does take up a lot of space. And I'm always outgrowing my bookshelves and stuff. I felt like, well, like this or Zodiac Academy, I would love to read, which has like 5 million books in the series, stuff like that. The Boys of Tom and all that stuff has a lot of books. I'm like, well, maybe something like that, like series. I'll buy the first book to like put in my collection, and then I could just, do the other ones on the Kindle and not have to have like 5 million books and all that stuff. Here's the problem. And people are smart. And they want these problems to exist because they want you to do both and spend the money on both. So this was a perfect example. So at the end of this book, they give you, and it's a significant amount of extra material here. They give you extra chapters from, look at all of this. They give you extra chapters from Xaden's point of view. So this is told from Violet's point of view. So at the end, they give you these extra chapters from Xaden's point of view. And that was actually really fun to read. I went back and I skimmed the chapters again, just to remind myself exactly what happens in those chapters. And then I read his point of view and it was fun. That's a fun thing. That was not on the Kindle. The next book I read after this that I'm going to talk about, there was bonus content. There was an extra chapter that was left out of the book that they had available in that paperback copy. That was not in my Kindle. So now I'm nervous. Now I'm like, how can I trust when I've got something on the Kindle that I'm not missing out on all this extra stuff? So, there's the problem with not doing both. But we'll see how it plays out, because right now I cannot, and I'm an accessorizer. I love that. So I had these book decals already, but I'm sure I'll even, get some more and whatever. These are the ones I had. I have another one too. And I'll say this too, I got all the accessories that went with it, and one of them was like a sleeve, but I haven't even used that because this is a little makeup bag that I carry in my pocketbook. I always carry some type of makeup bag in my bag. I don't even wear makeup, but I put all like, stuff that you don't want to just have all loose in the bag, like hair clips, hairbrush, Band-Aids, aspirin, whatever. So I go to put it in the sleeve and I'm going to take this off and I'm like, wait a minute. And I take this bag. This is like the perfect fit in this little makeup bag. It's crazy. This thing is so small and so convenient. I don't even have to take off the holder thing. The holder that I got, and I want to keep saying pop socket, but it's not an actual pop socket. And the reason for that being, I took someone on TikTok's advice on that. A lot of the pop sockets that I saw, they have like a sticker that you have to like stick and then it sticks to it. And I don't know how permanent that is. This is suction cup. So this is very sturdy, like it's not going to fall off at all. It hasn't come off, but I can easily peel it off if I want to move it. Even sometimes you hold it this hand, I don't always move it, but you can. So I got that. I also got this is some setup. When you see me reading like this is some setup. So I got the little gooseneck stand. So I have a little table that I usually keep next to me on the couch. I sit over there, and you put this on, and this opens very wide. So you could put it really on anything, any table, anything. And you could put the Kindle in here. I don't even have to take this off for that. It fits right on top. And you put it where you want it. And then, this is like the coolest thing ever, I got this little page turner. So there's this little thing here that you simply clip onto the Kindle like this. And it turns the page for you. This little button. and it turns the page. So I got this set in my gooseneck stand, so you could just kind of lay back on the couch, be under a blanket, whatever you want to do. I got a little button here, just like click on my pages, turn on my pages. It is phenomenal. I have this whole little setup going in my spot. I have the stand, and then I come home, I put the Kindle in there, and I'm clicking it. It's crazy, but it's so cool. What a different experience. What a different experience. The other thing I wanted to say, I lost track of what I was about to say. Let me just think for 1 second. I don't know, went out of my head. But, oh, I know. I take my books everywhere, literally everywhere. They're in the back seat of my car. They're in my desk at work for my lunch hour. They're just everywhere. We'll be in the car driving, and it's in my pocketbook, because if my husband runs into a store or something and I got 5 minutes, I pull out the book and I'm reading it. It's just everywhere, just in case I have a couple of minutes to read. Now, obviously, this is a huge book, but even other books, carrying this around is so convenient. So convenient. And these pictures, this is one example of like a screensaver, like when you shut it off, like it's all kind of like bookish things that pop up, pens, kind of stuff like that. So it's very cool and very convenient, and just life-changing is the word. I'm telling you, as soon as you pick it up and hold it, you will never put it down again. It is crazy. The only downside I have found so far, like I said, is the bonus content in the 2 books that I've read on here so far that was not available, that was not part of that. All right, I digress. So going back to the books now, the next book I read is, so those 2 I loved. These 2, not so much. So the next one is Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. Now let me tell you, see, includes bonus material. There's an extra chapter. So this was so hyped. And there's somebody that I follow on Book Talk that I really like. She's funny, she's entertaining, she reads a lot of the books that are on my TBR, so I'm always interested to hear what she has to say. This is like one of her favorite books ever, so I couldn't wait to do this. So Birthday Girl, got it for my birthday, my husband gave it to me. I read it. Now, I haven't read a lot of like age gap. You know, when we talk about the different tropes and taboos and all that kind of stuff. This is all age gap. He's older. And I gotta say, like, if I was watching a movie of this, maybe it would have hit me differently, because something like age gap, and I know there's a lot involved in that. Like, obviously, there's so much involved in a relationship. It's not purely physical. It's not anything like that. However, something like age gap, there is a physicality to that. Like, seeing an older man and a teenage girl is a lot different than reading about it, where I felt like I kind of had to constantly remind myself that they're not the same age, that she's like a kid to him. And you know, she says it a lot too. There's some old man jokes, and, you know, like him constantly worrying that he's too old for her and she's too young for him. And there's a lot of mention of it, so she doesn't let you forget. But it's still just hard. Like, I gotta keep trying to picture it. You know what I mean? Like, it's still hard to, like, I don't know, wrap yourself around that fully without seeing it. I mean, these smut books are essentially porn. And just, I know we've all watched porn, so I feel like, you know, when you see age gap in porn, you see it. It's there. You know, when you're reading it, you're thinking about it. And of course, it's like, you know, the descriptions, this is the hottest 40-year-old, or however old he is. I don't remember exactly how old he is, but he's around 40. The hottest 40-year-old, you know, we're not hearing about his gray hair, his thinning hair. We're hearing about his muscles and his tattoos and all that kind of stuff. So it's just some hot guy. And the hottest 19-year-old ever to exist, you know, so it's just kind of like, you know, whatever. So, but the bigger thing here in this story, he is the father of her boyfriend. So that to me is the bigger taboo. Like, I forget even the age gap. Like, that's what to me was a little weird. That's what you got to get your head around. So yes, that came through, and that was weird. She meets him while they're together. They end up living with the dad for a while to save money. So, you know, things escalate there, but nothing actually, you know, she's kind of like broken up with the boyfriend when things are happening. So it's not like, you know, too weird in that sense, but still, it's just like a weird situation. And again, the age thing was just hard. And I feel like it's also hard for me at my age to read that, because when you read romance books, or at least when I do, I'm kind of like living vicariously through these characters, often the girl. So normally I'm like, and again, there are different traits to every character. Maybe you identify with some, maybe the male has a character trait that you have. So it's not like you can't identify with anyone but the girl, but just in general, I'm like the female falling in love with the male main character. So here it was hard for me to relate to the girl because she was the kid and I'm his age. So like I was the older person here. So in my head, I'm either trying to think about dating a 19-year-old guy, or I'm trying to think about dating a 60-year-old man to kind of put it into perspective for me. But that also brings us into a whole level of old man that's different. Like to me, and again, maybe it's because it's my age, but I don't consider 40 to be like an old person yet, so to speak. 60, we're getting closer to that scenario. So, I don't know. It's not really the same thing. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what to say about this, but in terms of that, tabooness of the age gap, I felt like it was hard to read that. And I don't know if it was because of this particular book or just that in general, to me, coming through more in a visual representation, be it porn or a rom-com or whatever, like where you actually see like an older man with a teenage girl. Like it just seems a bit more jarring probably in that context than reading it where you're just picturing hot guy, hot girl falling in love in your head and just kind of reminding yourself, but wait, that maybe this is a little weird because they're so much older. Also doesn't help that, she's an old soul. So like, that she connects more and her boyfriend, his son, is, the most immature 19-year-old that has ever lived. So it's like she obviously relates more to the dad because of that kind of personality situation and whatever. She's very responsible. Yeah, there's aspects of, what do we find common grounds with and stuff like that, like emotional aspects to it as well. They touch on it, but I just feel like, I don't know, something about it, I just didn't like totally like succumb to the tabooness of this. Like it just didn't seem that odd to me. It doesn't in general. Like I'm not one of those people that's against any type of relationship anyway. Like, think different things work for different people and that's fine. But again, in terms of just seeing it as maybe a little different, a little weird, to me the weirder thing was obviously that he was the boyfriend's dad. So that's like a weird dynamic. And again, just hard as the guy's my age and portrayed as somebody that's like just this like hot guy, like it just seems like weird. Like I'm not getting like creepy or anything like that from that. In terms of the actual like smut factor, I didn't like, this was not my favorite at all. I've read so much better. I was not impressed with that at all. It was fine. I'm disappointed because like I said, that one girl that I follow on TikTok, now it's like, if this is her favorite, like, do I want to like take more recommendations? I don't know, because in no world would this be my favorite of anything. Favorite of the romance, favorite of the smut, favorite of the characters, like nothing. He's not my favorite MMC by any means. And his name is Pike. I'm sorry, but like, I don't know, just like weird name, and it's Pike and she's Jordan, and I don't know. It just, something about this didn't work. And while I was reading it, I was enjoying it. I was wanting to see what was going to happen. I didn't love the ending. I don't feel like the epic moment was epic enough. And then there was also at the end a lot of like such and such years later or whatever, like jumping ahead to kind of like let you see how this plays out. And sometimes that works, and sometimes it's just like, okay, like let's end it where it ends, like because they're different people like years later, and it just shouldn't read the same. Like I don't know, that was weird too. Like we jumped ahead and saw this important moment now, and we jumped ahead and then saw that important moment now. Also, the bonus is an extra chapter that was not in the book. I kind of hate when they do that, because it's like, I wish it was in the book. Yeah, I mean, I know things get cut and edited out and all that stuff to make it better, more concise, whatever it is, make the book flow better. But if you're going to show it to us anyway, I wish I would have read it where it belonged, like in the story, you know what I mean? So I have like, go back, I don't know. But would I recommend this to say you got to pick this up? No. The smut to me was, I've read better. So the porn factor was just okay for me here. And again, the characters themselves were okay, and the story was okay, and the ending was a little disappointing to me. And I reached that point, like I say sometimes, where I was just like, let's get done with this now. Like I wish it was over so I can move on to something else that I want to read. So unfortunately, not a very high rating. It was fine, but not a very high rating for me on this. And Penelope Douglas also has like a lot of other TikTok, you know, she's big on TikTok with all the recommendations. Credence is supposed to be good, and I don't know. Do I want to keep going? Do I want to invest my time in that? If I don't know if this was just maybe I didn't like this one, but I like something else of hers. I don't know. So if anybody has similar feelings to this and wants to offer some insight, I would appreciate it. And then the last book I read was The Fury by Alex Michaelides. So Alex Michaelides wrote The Silent Patient. I talked about that in January, I believe. That is a very popular thriller. That was a good book. I enjoyed that book. I'm not going to get into all that. Again, I talked about it in January, if you have any interest in looking at that video. But for now, I decided I'm going to read this book. And the reason I read this book, honestly, and I'll show you here, because I hate when they put stickers on the book. But I kept it on the inside here. So this is a buy one, get one 50% off. So there was another book I was looking for in Barnes & Noble that was on this table. And I'm like, oh, buy one, get one 50% off. Let me find something else. I might as well take advantage of that deal. And again, they always get me. I'm always, you know, I'm a sucker for the marketing. So there really was nothing else on that table that I wanted, but I convinced myself to get something because of this great deal. So I said, you know what? I like The Silent Patient. Let's give this a try. The story looked good. So basically it's about, there's like a murder on this island. There's like 6 or 7 of them there, and who did it, you know, kind of thing. And it just sounded really good. So I was getting vibes of like everyone in my family has killed someone and everyone on this train is a suspect. And again, I talked about that in other videos too, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but I loved Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone, Benjamin Stevenson. I did not love the second book, Everyone on This Train is a Suspect. And this was giving me like those kind of vibes. So we've got this like, I hate to say unreliable narrator because I feel like that alone like gives something away when people describe like that this is an unreliable narrator. But I think you could tell from the beginning that, you know, I don't know if I trust everything I'm reading here. So we're dealing with like a narrator that's kind of like taking us through what happened and, you know, who might have committed the murder, and we're finding we go kind of backwards and find like different pieces of their relationships and what led up to going to this island and how everything played out. The quote twists and such, you know, they were okay. I wasn't like, you know, jaw to the floor on anything. There is one thing that I don't even want to say anything about because I don't want to spoil any aspect of it, but it's hard. Yeah, there was one thing at the very, very end that was like, oh man, that's cool. Like that was cool. But other than that, it was like a nod to something else, and that's all I'll say. But other than that, again, you know, it was a good story. You know, there were twists. It did kind of change a couple of times to where you may have suspected something and then suspected something else. I wasn't like super shocked by anything. I was looking for a little bit more. I don't know what, just like something like just a little bit more that I didn't get. And, you know, it was just okay. And again, I definitely reached that point. Maybe in the beginning, it was kind of reading fast and I was like, you know, really interested and invested. And then I just kind of hit that wall of like, ugh, I got to keep going with this, and I wish we were done and I could move on to something else. And I do not abandon books once I start. That's not me. I'm too OCD for that. So I stuck it out. I stayed up so late last night actually finishing it just to kind of like be done with it and be able to include it in the video. But it was just okay for me. And I don't know that I would recommend this to anyone, say you have to read that. If you're a fan of his, yeah, it's fine. You can read it, but, you know, nothing special here. What I did love, and again, this was not on the Kindle Unlimited. I couldn't find it, so I had to read this the old-fashioned way that I've been doing up until now. But at the end of this, there was like, you know, reading discussion questions, and I read everything because I'm so OCD, so I cover to cover everything. But there was also this like little essay by him, just a couple of pages, about his writing process and how that differed for this book than for The Silent Patient and The Maidens. I didn't read The Maidens, but those are his other popular books. And I actually really loved that essay. There was just things in there about the writing process that I just related to. And it was just, he put into words things that I felt. And I really loved that little essay. And I never say that, like, you know, there's often little things from the, like, you know, interviews or something with the author at the end of a book. And this one, like, I really, really liked it. That to me was the best part of this book, was that little 4-page essay at the end about, you know, his writing process for this book. That I thoroughly enjoyed that. But again, the book itself, you know, was just okay. So the one other thing I want to show you, going back to my birthday gifts, this book I talked about in April, Always Never, another graphic novel, loved it. And I just want to show you another gift that I got. So this, again, I'm not going to talk about it again. It's in my April video, but beautiful pictures, beautiful everything. And one day when my brother was here, I was showing it to him and gushing over it and showing him, like, there was one page in particular that was like my favorite page or whatever. And he took note of it, and he's very thoughtful with gifts like that. So one of his birthday gifts to me was this wonderful picture. This is one of my favorite pages in the book. And I love this so much. I thought that was so cool, and I cannot wait to hang this up. So I just wanted to show you guys that, because that's another book gift that I was very excited about. So that's it for June. I'm very excited for summer reading, because every season has its own, like, perks with reading. You know, in the winter you want to feel cozy, or when it's raining and you get into the blanket and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, the summer, you're on the beach or at the park with your kids, whatever it is. And so all those kind of vibes. And I'm very excited about what's up next on my TBR. One of them is very summer vibes. The other one, I'm going to be honest, is way out of my comfort zone. Not much triggers me. I've spoken about this in another video. This is the book. I started it today, and I am actually very nervous about it, but I've heard such good things about it, and everyone talks about this book, and it's the concept is different. It's different and intriguing to me, and I really hope that I don't read something that I can't unread and, you know, regret it, because it is one of my, you know, all these trigger warnings nowadays that they put to make sure that you're not getting into something that you don't want to get into. Again, I love horror, I love graphic stuff, I love all that kind of stuff, but there are just certain things that are not enjoyable for me to read, and this touches on one of them in a big way. So I'm way out of my comfort zone here, but I think the payoff might be amazing. So I'm going to tease you with that. That'll be the first book up in my July video. And until then, that's it for June, and I'll see you next month. Bye.